Here we are. The Oscar ceremony is 6 days away, and I felt that it was now time to give the final prediction. So, what I've done is I've created this Google Forms that you can see on the right. I have this available on my YouTube description. I am going to be voting who I think will win. Along the way, I'll also be sharing who I think should win. And what I'm going to do, I have it on my YouTube description. So, everyone who's watching this video, they can vote, they can see their own impact. We can all kind of go back in a few days post the ceremony and see how we all did, what the consensus was, if the consensus was right. I'm sure a lot of this is going to be wrong, and I think there's going to be a lot of upsets this year. I think this is such an unpredictable year, but essentially, how I did the order was I followed last year's awards show. Which was, it started with supporting actress, so I followed the race that way. It will obviously end on best picture, but that's how we're doing this. So the first category that we are voting for, and again, go to my YouTube description below and you guys can vote for this along with me. For Best Supporting Actress, we have the nominees of Zoe Saldana, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown, and Felicity Jones for The Brutalist. I forgot to mention Zoe Saldana is nominated for Emilia Perez. Who will win? Let's just start with who should win. Of these five, I would rank them as easy as this. Number five, I would have Felicity Jones, The Brutalist. I don't like that performance. Number four, I would have Isabella Rossellini for Conclave. I don't think she's in the movie enough to really make an impact. Number three, I'd have Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown. I really like Monica. I just don't think she has a huge role in this movie. Number two, I'd go Zoe Saldana, Emilia Perez. Number one, I do have Ariana Grande for Wicked. Ultimately, though, as much as I'd love Wicked to compete, I just have to give up hope. And I know for a fact Zoe Saldana is winning for Emilia Perez. Animated short is the next category that I'm talking about. And I should just say to everyone watching this who wants comprehensive reviews of all these movies, either Thursday or Friday, I'll be making a video where I go through all, I think it's 56 films nominated for the Oscars this year. That includes shorts. So if you want to hear me rank those, subscribe to this channel. That will be out either Thursday or Friday, right before the Academy Awards. The animated shorts, I went to go see them last week. Uh, that's how I spent my holiday. It was a really bad use of my day. I thought the animated shorts was abysmal. And I usually think the animated shorts are pretty rough to get through. This year was especially bad. I don't like basically all of these films, except for the exception of one. We have Wander to Wonder, we have Yuck, we have Magic Candies, we have Beautiful Men, and then we have In the Shadow of the Crippus. Here's what I will say. I hated Wander to Wonder. I thought that film was awful. Beautiful Men, I thought was pretty bad. In the Shadow of the Crips, or of the Crippus, however you say that. I way too long, didn't have a story, didn't care for it. Magic Candies and Yuck are okay. I would personally say if I had to give this award, the only one that I thought was good was Yuck. I thought Magic Candies was okay. I don't know where the Academy will lie on this one. It should not go to Wonder. I'd be very like, what are we doing? Beautiful Men is just not my thing. I could kind of see them going In the Shadow, but ultimately, I'm going to say the most easily accessible one is going to be the one that wins. And it's also the shortest of this bunch. I'm going to go Yuck. I'm going to say that the Oscars are lining with my taste this year. Animated feature film. The nominees this year: The Wild Robot, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Flow. Really strong five. These are all five films that I gave pretty good reviews to. These were all at the bottom barrel 3-star movies. This is a race between The Wild Robot and Flow. That's been the race for a while, and honestly, it seems that The Wild Robot is dominating that race. Now, Flow making it into International Picture is something certainly to notice, but I just think The Wild Robot, the fact that it got into sound, and I believe it also got into score, that really shows a love and strength for this movie. This is the movie in The Wild Robot that I would also pick. I think I had this in my top 3 of this year. I think this film's wonderful. and I think Flow is really good. But ultimately, this is another one that I think who should win, it will be the Wild Robot. Who will win is the Wild Robot. So that's my official prediction. So far, I feel good about two of the three. Writing original screenplay. This is where we start getting a little tricky, and this is where some opinions may start varying. Let's see what I have here. For original screenplay, we have Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, The Substance. This seems to be a race that most people are thinking is going to be between Anora and A Real Pain. I still think The Brutalist is competing. I just don't know how much it's competing anymore. Let me just say, I'm seeing a lot of people switch that momentum towards A Real Pain. If A Real Pain got into Best Picture, I think I could buy that argument a little bit more. If this made the 10, then I think A Real Pain would have a really good chance of winning it. I'm still leaning Anora, and Anora for the win is also because of other categories that I'm going to be doing with Sean Baker later. Who should win? Out of all of these, I think I would agree Anora would be the one that I think should win. I The Substance is a lot of great movie that I really enjoy. The writing isn't necessarily what I walk away with that movie. September 5 is a perfectly good screenplay. I don't think it elevates. A Real Pain, I wouldn't be mad if that one, and I'd be happy for Eisenberg. The Brutalist, it just has too many issues in its second half, so I can't really get on board for that winning best screenplay. I think Anora's the most complete out of all of these. That's how I'm feeling, at least. That's where my head is taking me. So who should win and who will win is the same, and I'm going Anora. Next category, writing adapted screenplay. The nominees this year are A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Emilia, Perez, Nickel Boys, Sing Sing. Of these five, which weird category this year because it doesn't have key nominations for Dune Part 2 and Wicked. I think both of those would make this race a little bit more interesting. The only two movies I think have even the slightest chance of winning here, I'm just kind of been surprised with The Complete Unknown how much love it's been getting, how much love it got with the Academy outside of its acting. So do take notice of that. But ultimately, this does just feel like the runaway favorite. It's been the front runner for quite a while. It hasn't really lost anything big. I am going Conclave to win. Who should win? I think of the screenplays, my least favorite is Nickel Boys. There's a lot of things to recommend about Nickel Boys. I just don't know if the screenplay is one of them. In fact, it wasn't for me. A Complete Unknown is another screenplay that I didn't really care for. I've come around to the idea that obviously a screenplay is not just writing and dialogue and the scenes being played out in the movie, even in the scenes where it's just a concert film. That does take work of adaptation. It just doesn't feel like it really elevates itself. Emilia Perez would be a bad win. So it's either between Conclave or Sing Sing. I would personally, if I was voting, I'd give this to Sing Sing. That would be where my vote is. Who will win? I think it's Conclave pretty easy. Makeup and hairstyling. Really stacked category. We have A Different Man, Emilia Perez, Nosferatu, The Substance, Wicked. This one's weird because I actually think there's a case to be made for all five. Who should win is a tough question. I would lean towards The Substance or A Different Man. But I don't actually want to knock the makeup work done in Emilia Perez, which I actually do think is kind of sneakily good, especially with the transition of Karla Sofia Gascon in that movie from where we meet that character to the second half of the film. I think it's actually like underratedly strong. I think it's actually well deserving of this nomination. Personally, I think most people are seemingly agreeing, and I'm agreeing with that consensus. The Substance just has the most makeup, and it's very clear, vivid makeup in that movie. And the fact that it got over the hump of a nomination, the fact that it was so widely acclaimed, the fact that Farge's in Best Director, I think there's at least a love for the substance. I would personally, gosh, it's tough because I actually, A Different Man is the one that's kind of like playing in my head where I'm like, would I vote A Different Man? I think I would align with what I'm saying would win, will win, I should say, and the substance. So who should win? I am saying the substance. Who will win? I am saying the substance. Production design. We got The Brutalist. We got Conclave. We have Dune Part 2. We have Nosferatu. We have Wicked. Let me do my Nosferatu voice. Nosferatu. That was a terrible impression on my part. This this is a killer category. It seems that Wicked is the one to win this category. It's hard because I know so much of this movie was like practical effects, production, all that. The CGI in the movie and the direction of the movie and some of the lighting just like kind of like works against the production design, in my opinion. Where I almost feel like Conclave or Dune Part 2 or even Nosferatu and the Brutalist, like Wicked's kind of the weak one out in this category to me. I think Wicked is going to win production design. Who should? I would probably. I would if who should? That's not the question of yeah. Who should win? It's between Conclave or Nosferatu for me. I think I would lean in terms of win for my personal what I like in production design. I think I would go Nosferatu. I do think Wicked is going to win. So my official prediction is Wicked wins. Costume design, another Nosferatu category. We have A Complete Unknown. We have Conclave. We have Gladiator 2. We have Nosferatu. We have Wicked. This is the easiest category in my mind to predict. Costume design, it's going to go to Glinda. It's going to go to Elphaba. It's going to go to what Wicked achieves and in its form of adaptation of a stage play in its costuming. Wicked's the easy will win. Who should win? That's a tougher question. I would go between Conclave or Wicked, and I would still vote Wicked, so I guess it's not that tough of a question. International feature film. I'm sure a lot of people are really curious on this one. And I've been kind of saying that I think international feature is going to get weird. And I know I have a Brazilian contingency who's been watching my channel after finding my I'm Still Here review. So to all of you joining me, thank you so much. International feature film, the nominees are I'm Still Here, Emilia Perez, The Girl with the Needle, The Seed of a Sacred Fig, Flow. I think someone made the case earlier on the Reddit, on the Oscar race Reddit, that they thought Flow was going to win international feature. And I'm like, Flow might not even win animated feature, let alone like the idea that it would win international feature is crazy to me. It's between I'm Still Here or Emilia Perez. I'm Still Here is, I think, stronger than some people believe, just simply based on the fact that it got into the best picture race. This is the question of what will win. Am I going with my heart and saying that I'm Still Here is the far superior movie to Emilia Perez, and that the damage that Emilia Perez has had this past few weeks is going to backfire? Or do I just say Emilia Perez, they're just going to vote it? They already voted this movie like 13 nominations. I don't. I I want to just say I'm Still Here. Like I almost like want to protest vote. Who will win? I mean, it's really hard to deny that I think Emilia Perez will win. So I think I am going to unfortunately just select it to win. Who should win? It's kind of clear night and day. I'm Still Here should be the winner, and I still think there's a really good chance. I don't feel great. So my hope right now is that I'm voting Emilia Perez, and this is a category I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong on international feature. So here's hoping I'm wrong. Actor in a supporting role. The 5 nominations we have: Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, Yora Borisov, and Anora, and Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice. I just want to say a few things about these nominees real quick. Edward Norton was kind of a guy I was dismissing early on in this race. I'm actually pretty like surprised how much I've thought and this performance has grown on me. I think it's a very sincere, very soft performance from Norton, one that I'm actually like not used to him giving. And I think some of that quietness the initial time around was like what took me like a bit to appreciate and respect what Norton's doing. The more I've thought about that movie and his performance as Pete Seeger, the more I've come around to this nomination. Ultimately, my least favorite of the five is going to win. It's the clearest who will win. It's Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain. Honestly, any of these other four have better cases in my mind. How I would say it is number one for me, who should win, is Jeremy Strong. He's incredible in The Apprentice. I wish he was getting more acclaim for this movie. He's the clear front runner in my head. If I was voting, this wouldn't even be a race. Number two, I would have Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. Number three, I'd have Norton. Number four, I have Yora. And then number five, I'd have Culkin. It doesn't matter because Culkin's the clear winner in best supporting screenplay. Visual effects. Let's do this one. Excuse me as I drink some water. Visual effects. We got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Better Man, Alien Romulus, Dune Part 2, Wicked. I'd like to talk about some of these visual effects a little bit more, but honestly, I think Wicked's a little weird of visual effects. It's not, it's actually has pretty good visual effects given the standard, but it's none of these movies come close to what Dune Part 2 is. And I'm not even the biggest Dune Part 2 fan, but it's also kind of undeniable what it achieves. Who should and who will win is Dune Part 2. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. If you do, or if you're disagreeing with any of these predictions, let me know in the comments below. Film editing's weird. I don't know about this one. You have Anora, which I just want to point out. Anora is, what's it called? It does have editing from, what am I trying to say? The director, Sean Baker, that's his name. Sean Baker edits his own movies. So Anora does have the interesting position this year where that director, Sean Baker, keep struggling with his name. Sean Baker has the chance to win 4 Oscars this year. He could win Best Picture, he could win Best Director, he could win Best Screenplay, he could win Film Editing. He could go on stage 4 times and win 4 Oscars, which would be the most in any single night outside of Walt Disney, who won it for different films in, I think, 1954, maybe? So the nominations for film editing: Anora, Conclave, The Brutalist, Emilia, Perez, Wicked. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that Anora, Conclave, or The Brutalist wins. Those are the 3 that I'm locking in on. I think, God, the more I hear and think about The Brutalist, I'm just wondering who's doing the 3.5-hour watch, because some of those anonymous ballots, which I don't always pay the most attention to because obviously they're going for the most inflammatory, but it's a long movie. It might be a tough sit. Conclave has probably the most noticeable editing of these 5. And then Anora has the Sean Baker indie spirit, what it's doing, what he's doing with it. Personally, film editing, I think who will win, I am going to say Conclave. And I think who should win, I would go, I don't know. This is tough. I don't, film editing. Anora, maybe I would go Conclave. I think if I was looking at this ballot and you asked me which one of these, if I was to close my eyes, know the 5 names, and what's yelling at me for film editing, I'm saying The Brutalist, I think, would be the one that I would pick. So who should win? I'm saying The Brutalist. Who will win? I'm going to go Conclave. Documentary short. This one's a weird category, and I have to fully admit I am recording this Monday, February 24th. In about 2 hours, I will be driving downtown to go see the documentary shorts nominated this year. The nominees are I Am Ready, Warden, which is streaming on Paramount Plus, Death by Numbers, which is the whole reason I am going out to downtown to go see this movie, is because all the other 4 are accessible for me. I can see all the other 4, but Death by Numbers, I haven't had any luck being able to see. I reached out to the studio. I still haven't received a screener link. So if I am truly trying to see every movie nominated for an Oscar, I don't know how else I'm going to see Death by Numbers except going out for this one night only in Sacramento during a Kings game. I am literally going to miss a Kings game to watch one 30-minute short. I'm going to stick because I haven't seen I Am Ready, Warden, Death by Numbers. I started Incident and it's really good, but I didn't finish it. And I'm like, I'll just finish it while there and I'll get to actually experience that one. And I think that might be the most interesting to watch on the big screen. I didn't. The Only Girl in the Orchestra was fine. It wasn't really my jam. Instruments of Beating Heart was not for me. I Am Ready Warden has a really interesting premise. Death by Numbers, I've heard just kind of like it's the topic, it's the topical movie, I guess, but not necessarily like people's favorite. Incident was like, and this is again not really having any context for I Am Ready Warden. Incident to me was the one while watching it that stood out where I'm like, oh, this feels like a new way to make a short documentary, like something a little bit more exciting, a little bit more fresh in this. I am going to vote Incident a little bit sight unseen because I Am Ready Warden could sneak in there. So personally, I would say Incident. What I think the Academy will do is a different question. I saw a lot of people on Gold Derby saying the only girl in the orchestra would win. I I don't think so. I mean, maybe just because it's like what the film is about of like this woman who's on the New York Orchestra and like has Leonard Bernstein ties. Like maybe it didn't really move me. And then like I Am Ready Warden is another one that I'm hearing. I kind of just based on what I've seen, I'm just going to go Instant, which is just I don't really have an insight of what the Academy is going to do this one. So out of all of these, seeing the bits and pieces that I've seen of Death by Numbers, seeing the trailer for I Am Ready Warden, seeing a good chunk of Incident, I just think Incident has the most interesting, unique style to its documentary short. And I think it's very easy to remember that format. Documentary feature, Porcelain War, Sugarcane, soundtrack to a coup d'etat, Black Box Diaries, No Other Land. It's a weird case this year where I think the best documentary of these five, which is Sugarcane, is the one that's probably getting the least amount of being seen and talked about. It doesn't seem that like most people are like having this high. I see a lot of people predicting that it's going to be No Other Land, which was a documentary that it didn't work for me. It was okay. Didn't connect with me as much as I was hoping for, especially after last year's 20 Days in Maripol, which I thought was extremely compelling in that case. Porcelain War, soundtrack, and then Black Box Diary. Soundtrack is maybe one of the more inventive ones on this list. I am going to. This one's a tough one. I am going to go with the consensus here and say No Other Land will get it because of the feat of making that movie is, I think, very noticeable. And I think documentary filmmakers will respond to that and the real life events of that movie. Cinematography, The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Maria Nosferatu. Cinematography, this one's a tough one. I keep saying it's a tough one, but that's because I actually think there's like some sneakily good ones. Maria has great cinematography. Honestly, out of these five, Maria's like maybe sneakily the best cinematography that I saw this year. It'd be between Maria or The Brutalist for me. I personally think The Brutalist will win cinematography. I think that's what the Academy will vote. I would probably vote Maria, to be honest. I actually think, like I said, I think that is actually really well done cinematography in a movie that I liked way more than other people liked. Live action short. This one was a little less painful because I saw live action and animated back to back, so that was a nice 3.5 hours in the theaters. Uh, the five this year were not bad in the sense that like the one that I liked the least was also the shortest in this category, if I'm correct, and the other four are compelling enough. The nominees this year are Elaine, which follows a it's a very topical movie in the sense that it follows a husband and wife. The husband is I want to say Mexican immigrant. They go for his appointment for citizenship and an ice raid happens. It's this 14-minute tension of this husband trying to get out of the building on the phone with his wife, who is in another part of the building with their daughter. He's with his daughter. Compelling movie, a bit emotionally manipulative. I it's a I understand why people are really responding to it. I like this movie for what it was. Anuja is a movie about a young girl in, I want to say it's India, but I don't remember exactly the country, who's trying to get an education. It was okay. I thought it was a little overlong. It didn't really go anywhere for me. I'm Not a Robot is actually a really weird film for me because I saw the Jack Quaid movie Companion, which has a very similar plot to I'm Not a Robot. Essentially, this is a robot who realizes they are a robot and they are designed to be in this relationship. Companion's a much better movie than this one. I found this one at least semi funny. The Last Ranger is the movie that I actually liked the most out of these short films. It would be the one that I would personally vote for. I thought it was pretty just incredibly captivating, incredibly beautiful. It's basically this story about a child who grows up on one of these big games, uh, parks or whatever they're called, safaris, big game safaris, I think is what they're called in Africa. And poachers come and it's this fight to save a rhino, essentially. It's this 30-minute, just kind of scary tension, just awful stuff that these poachers do in Africa. I thought it was extremely heart wrenching. So the Last Ranger would be my personal vote, who I think should win. The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent, which is what I'm seeing a lot of people nominate slash think will win. I think this is like probably the consensus pick on Gold Derby. I don't get it. I thought this short was bad. Like just straight up, like I didn't think there was enough to understand about what was going on. I don't think they gave the context enough. I didn't think the story was that fleshed out. Like I this didn't work for me. Personally, out of these five, it does seem that The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent is the one gaining the most momentum. I'm going to say Aline, which again has the ice slash immigration, like which is very present in American culture right now. I think that one's going to be the statement win. I think The Last Ranger should be the one that wins. Sound. We have A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, Wicked, The Wild Robot. This is to me a deadlock race between Dune Part 2 and Wicked. I think this is the case where Wicked is so defined by its sound of the singing. I would personally, I think I would also go Wicked just because of how they are able to mix the sound. I actually think A Complete Unknown is competitive in this category. I understand why some people are predicting Dune Part 2. It doesn't feel like Dune Part 2 is going to win a lot of Oscars this year. And that's where I'm like, do I just give it another one in sound? I think Wicked has that feeling of being new, where Dune is kind of suffering from almost being like the one that it felt like snuck in. I'm going to go who should and will win is Wicked. I could very well be wrong on that one. Music, original score. The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, Wicked, The Wild Robot. This one is a race between The Brutalist and Conclave in my mind. I think this is the case where The Brutalist is going to come out on top. It's I think the most memorable score. It's used in a really big moment in the film to introduce the movie. That orchestra just crushing into that movie. I think it's The Brutalist. And I'm trying to think, would I vote differently? I don't think I. Conclave has a good score, but I think that score can be a bit intrusive, like I've found other Edward Berger scores to be, especially All Quiet on the Western Front is another example of that. I think The Brutalist will win score, and I think it should win score. Music original song is an absolute disaster this year. The nominees are El Ma from Emilia Perez, The Journey from the 6888, Like a Bird from Sing Sing, Mi Camino from Emilia Perez, and Never Too Late from Elton John. Never Too Late. I gotta be fully honest, I forgot to listen to the Elton John song before I came on to talk about these final predictions. I did watch the 6888 today, though, which honestly, it's not a good movie, but there's good stuff in the movie. I just don't think Tyler Perry can direct a good movie. But the performances in the movie are actually pretty good. I think Kerry Washington's like legitimately pretty good in that movie. Uh, is this just the year Dianne Warren wins it? That's kind of my question because I actually think the song from the 6888, like The Journey, is not that bad of a song. And honestly, on the looking at this list, like I don't think any of these are particularly strong. Again, I haven't listened to the Elton John song, but I don't think the Sing Sing song is incredibly strong. The Emilia Perez songs are like barely songs, like they're 50 seconds each. It does seem that El Ma is the favorite to win this. This is the scene for those who do not remember Emilia Perez. This is the scene that has Zoe Saldana in the red jacket, dancing and rapping. Who should win? I would honestly, silent. I silent scene on the John movie. I would say Dianne Warren should just win her Oscar this year, and we can get it fucking over with. And like we don't have to keep nominating her every year, and just like I don't know, like she's more deserving than Emilia Perez. So I guess on that case, like who should win? I'd say Dianne Warren for The Journey from the 6888 movie. Who will win? It's definitely Elma. That takes us to actor in a leading role. The nominations are Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ray Fiennes for Conclave, Timothee Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, and as of recording this, Monday, February 24th, last night, Sunday, Timothee Chalamet got his first huge moment on the stage, winning the Screen Actors Guild for A Complete Unknown for his portrayal of Bob Dylan. Uh, Adrian Brody has basically won everything else from the Golden Globe to BAFTA to Critics' Choice. Like, really, every award that he can pick up, he has won. So, this is a race, and it has been for a while, between Brody and Chalamet. Who I would vote for is Sebastian Stan. No one cares what I would vote for, but yeah, that is, I would be the Apprentice Bros. I would be suffering the wrath of our president. But yeah, no, it would be The Apprentice, which I think is a remarkable performance that Sebastian Stan gives in the movie. Oh God, this is where I'm like, do I follow what I want to? I want to just say Timothy Chalamet wins it. He gave such a fucking awesome speech last night at the Screen Actors Guild. And to everyone saying, like, oh, like he's like not even 30, like talking about his greatness or the craft. Like he's so self-indulgent. He's so important. He's so like full of it. Like, yeah, I want an actor to celebrate what they do, to be like, hey, for me, this is important. For me, I am working hard. I want to do, I want to strive to be great. I want to take challenging parts. I want to lift up men like Bob Dylan. I want to tell these stories. I want to be that. I want to be one of the greats. And winning is an example of where I can say, and look at what I've done in my career and find pride in that, along with the cast and crew. I found it so incredibly refreshing, his Screen Actors Guild award. I know it rubs some people the wrong way. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was so charismatic. I thought it was so real in a way that I don't often think these speeches are. With that said, is it just going to be Brody for The Brutalist, which is a performance that I thought was a little overhyped? Don't hate me for that. I don't know. I really don't. I kind of want to just believe this is the year that they anoint Chalamet with Dune Part 2 and A Complete Unknown this year. And does the Adrian Brody, does the Brutalist length hurt him? Does the fact that he has already won hurt him? Does the fact that there's so many things working against the Brutalist with the AI controversy that doesn't seem to have stuck, but does seem to have at least been a conversation point? BAFTA is usually more indicative, and SAG did not go for the Brutalist. Guy Pearce, Felicity Jones missed out. I am going to do the same thing, which I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm going to say Adrian Brody, but really, like, crossing my fingers. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping Chalamet takes it home this year. One of my favorites working. A real guy. My favorite thing about his speech, too, is like you can right away tell that he's a basketball fan because the way he talks about himself is the same way someone like Ant for the Timberwolves talks about himself, where he's just like, I want to be great. I want to strive for greatness. Like, I want to work hard. Like, I want to be the best. I am the best. That's a sports mentality, and that's something that Chalamet brings. The 5 nominations for Best Director, we have Coralie Farge for The Substance, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, James Mangold for A Complete Unknown, and Sean Baker Anora. So I talked about this earlier, which I essentially think like my theory is the Academy is going to spread the love a little bit. So what I think will happen is I think a film like The Brutalist is going to win Best Director. I know some people have kept mentioning Sean Baker, Anora. I haven't seen that. Like I know he won some really key nominations and wins there. Like I get it. I just like I look at it, and maybe this is just the case where I'm underestimating. Like Anora has been the front runner for a while. It is the front runner. It's really built up steam in the right time. I think I personally still think Corbet wins the Brutalist. I think my theory is picture and director will not go to the same film. And for the longest time, I thought The Brutalist was going to win Best Picture. And now that I'm not like necessarily sure on that, I kind of think they're going to give Corbet director here. And then on the meantime, they'll give, we'll talk about Best Picture in a second. Ultimately, who I would give it to, I think I'd give it to Farge. I just looking at it, it's my favorite of the 5 films, so that speaks a lot to it. I also think it has a very unique vision, and I think it has a really real, well realized vision within its movie. Where some of these other ones, I don't really understand like what Corbet is going for. I definitely don't understand what Audiard's going for. Mangold, I think, is going for something traditional, and I like traditional, and I like that movie. Doesn't make it stand out. Anora, I think, is the, like I said, it's the other one. I think Corbet achieves something. I think Baker achieved something. I think Farge really achieved something special. So I would vote Farge. I think the winner will be Corbet, though. Which brings us to actress in a leading role. A death race. Mikey, Madison, and Nora, Cynthia Erivo, Wicked, Demi Moore, The Substance, Karla, Sofia, Gascon, Emilia Perez, Fernanda Torres, I'm Still Here. The two that will not win, it will not be Cynthia Erivo, it will not be Karla, Sofia, Gascon. The only 3 that could win this award, Mikey Madison, Demi Moore, Fernanda Torres, I'm Still Here. I will just say who should win. I am saying Fernanda Torres should win for Best Actress. Who will win is a different question. I can make 3 compelling cases for these 3 actors, which let me make the case for each of them. Mikey Madison, what is her best case for winning this? Well, here is the case. Mikey Madison is in a film that could potentially go on to just be the clear front runner this year for the Academy Awards. It has won basically every big indicating award. The only film of the 21st century to not go on after winning, like, I think it's won BAFTA. God, what is it won? It's won BAFTA, it's won Critics, won Golden Globes. Oh, one Producers Guild or one Directors Guild. The only film that hasn't gone on to win the Best Picture is Brokeback Mountain. So this could just mean the case that, like, I'm denying it. Anora is kind of just the clear front runner. Baker's going to win director. Like, he could win editing. Like, it's just going to be a huge, huge night for Anora. And then Mikey Madison is like in that sweep up with that. Demi Moore, her narrative is she is the one who's been cleaning up. She just won the Screen Actors Guild Award. She does seem to be the favorite of this. She has been the favorite. They do love a comeback story. The Academy does. And she's in a film that got nominated for Best Picture. And that performance is pretty astonishing. Fernanda Torres, here's the case. Here's the argument that people would be making for Fernanda Torres if they believe she would win. Fernanda Torres would benefit from the fact that Karla Sofia Gascon, an international actress, basically has lost all grace. Like, she's not going to win this award. Emilia Perez is really soured on people, and Karla Sofia is the main reason for that. You take a contingency of people who are going to vote for Karla Sofia Gascon, maybe an international branch leans towards another international actress, which we have in Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. On top of that, you have Demi Moore is in a horror film, which isn't always traditionally well received by the Academy. On top of that, you have Mikey Madison in a pretty raunchy R-rated sex comedy / drama. Maybe this isn't really the front runner. Maybe it is the Brutalist. Like, Anora doesn't really win many awards. That's where I think Fernanda Torres getting into best uh, actress, getting into best picture, getting into international, especially what if Emilia Perez loses international? I'm still here takes it. Like there's a lot of cases. If international goes to Emilia, sorry, I'm still here. Look out for Taurus. Like I think that is a real thing that will happen earlier in the show, and if it happens, I think there is a fair chance that Fernanda Torres is still in the race. Ultimately, I think who should win is Fernanda. Who will win? I'm going to go Demi Moore, which I will not be mad about when she wins. Best picture. We got Anora. We got The Brutalist. We got Conclave. We got Dune Part 2. We got Emilia Perez. We got I'm Still Here. We got Nickel Boys. We got A Complete Unknown. We got The Substance. We got Wicked. Doing this 10-1, and I think of what is least likely to win and what is most likely to win. This is off the top of my head. Least likely to win is Dune Part 2 in my mind. I just it I don't see a world where Dune Part 2 wins with how much it underperformed. Nickel Boys would be coming in at number 9. I think the screenplay nomination definitely helps, but the fact that this movie missed out on cinematography, which is kind of the key of this movie, I find a bit bizarre. So Nickel Boys would be my number 9. My number 8, I think I would say, oh, this is tough. Off the top of my head, I think I would go A Complete Unknown. A Complete Unknown would be, no, sorry, I'm going to go The Substance at number 8. I think the achievement of The Substance is getting into this many number of categories as it did. I don't think it's going to go on to win. Number 7, I will now go A Complete Unknown, which is, again, I think an acting feast, but not necessarily a movie that I think could win Best Picture, which leaves us with 6 titles. Number 5, I'm going to go I'm Still Here. I had this higher. Number 5, I'm going to go Emilia Perez. I think the controversy has hurt this film too much. It hasn't been winning. I think this movie's kind of just like now dead in the water. It's going to get Zoe. It's going to get a song. It may get international. Like we're not talking about more than 3 or 4 wins now at this point. I'll have it at number 5 just as the how many nominations it got. That leaves us with 4. Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave, I'm Still Here, Wicked, which I think is actually 5. So let me do that order again. Number 10, Doom Part 2. Number 9, Nickel Boys. Number 8, The Substance. Number 7, A Complete Unknown. Number 6, Emilia Perez. Number 5, I will go I'm Still Here. Number 5, I'm going to change that. I'm pulling a mulligan. Number 5, I'm going Wicked. It's kind of the same issue that Dune Part 1 had, which is it's a Part 1. People can think that they can reward it later. Are they going to go for a big blockbuster movie? I just don't think there's any indication that they will. That's number 5. Number 4, I'm Still Here. I think I'm Still Here has the benefit of an international vote. The fact that it got in, it shows that there is a clear love for this movie. Fernanda Torres has a chance to win it. I just think it's in a good place to rank high, and the people who seem to have seen this movie like it. So it's the question of, did enough people see this movie for it to get high on some ballots? Could be much lower. It could be somewhere between 7, 8, or 9. I'll put it at number 4. Number 3, I have. So now we're down between Anora, The Brutalist, Conclave. I know Conclave just won. Conclave just won the Screen Actors Guild, and I think it won BAFTA. To be honest, like it makes sense that it won the Screen Actors Guild. It is such a huge ensemble. BAFTA just seems like a film that would win BAFTA. I think it's number 3. I just don't really see a chance that it wins Best Picture. I could be very wrong on that. I think it'd be a bad Best Picture winner. Number 2, I'll go The Brutalist. And then number 1, is it going to be History Repeats Itself, where something that has all the wins to imply that it will win Best Picture goes on to lose, like Brokeback Mountain did? Right now, I'm not going to predict that. I'm going to say Anora will win. In my personal opinion, what should win would be The Substance. That would be my vote. But that is my final predictions, and this was a long video. So guys, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe. It really does help me out. It really does help me grow. It really does allow me to see screeners of these movies early, to be able to talk about them for months on months on months on months on months on months. And So thank you all so much for watching. Remember, I have that Google Forms in the description below. So for anyone interested, make sure you check out, vote in that Google Forms, and then that way we can kind of see where we went wrong, where we went right. It's just a nice little indicator of what was going on. So thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you stay tuned. Again, Thursday or Friday, I will be back out with ranking every movie nominated for an Academy Award this year. So long video coming up, but thank you so much for subscribing.